Today in this video we will be discussing key terms, different types of emergency vehicles, how weight affects driving ability, how unbalanced weights affect handling, and also discuss how to properly distribute weight. Key terms: roll, which is the vehicle moving side to side. Pitch is when the vehicle moving front to back, and yaw when the vehicle spinning in a fishtail.
When talking about roll, pitch, and yaw, this is the roll movement of a vehicle, this is the pitch movement of a vehicle, and this is the yaw movement of a vehicle.
Momentum, strength or force gained by motion or by a series of events. Center of gravity, the point at which the entire weight of the body may be considered as concentrated so that if supported at this point the body would remain in equilibrium in any position. Stopping distance, the distance it takes a vehicle to stop.
Now we are going to talk about the different types of emergency vehicles. There are engines or pumpers, mini pumpers, ladder trucks, articulating boom trucks, tillers, squirts, rescues, ambulances, brush trucks, tankers or water tenders, ARFFs, which stands for Aircraft Rescue Firefighting Vehicle.
Engine or pumper, permanently mounted pump of at least 750 GPM, water tank, hose storage.
Mini pumper, 250 gallons per minute pump, water tank, hose body, and is used to make the initial attack, usually before the initial engine arrives.
Ladder trucks have an aerial mounted ladder mounted to the top of the vehicle. They contain no water tank or pump. There is an assortment of ground ladders. They carry a variety of tools. There are two different types of ladder placements: rear mount ladders and mid mount ladders. A quint is many different trucks blended together. It has a water tank, a pump, and hose, just like an engine would, but it also has an aerial ladder, just like a ladder truck would. It also carries an assortment of ground ladders. They're used in communities that don't have many high structures and also don't have the money to buy an engine and a ladder truck. The next truck is an articulating boom truck. These trucks have a boom with a bucket on the end that are able to bend in odd directions. There is no actual ladder that goes from the truck to the bucket. It is just a steel pipe. You can have piped in water up to the bucket, which can make a master stream and help you put out a fire like that. Also, it is useful in rescue scenarios because it can reach odd angles. As you can see in this picture, the boom is not at a straight angle. This picture is showing that the boom can angle itself in any direction it wants. It's mostly used for rescues that are below grade, getting better able to get the firefighters down to where they need to rescue victims. Tiller trucks are set up a lot like tractor trailers. There's a main front part which pulls the back end, which is a trailer. They are able to pivot in the middle. This is so they can have better handling and fit down tighter streets. They can make turns a whole lot easier, and they're in general more easy to maneuver. They have an aerial mounted ladder, which is a mid mount. They contain no water tank or pump. They have an assortment of ground ladders. They are useful for carrying tools. Like I said, the truck pivots in the middle, which helps firefighters get down streets. And also in the back, there's a firefighter who steers the rear wheels, making the truck easier to turn. This video will further explain how a tiller works. As you can see, the tiller is pulling out and the back wheels are turning, keeping the alignment with the front and the back similar. It also helps to create an easier turning radius for the vehicle, making it easier to get down small city streets. Squirts are basically an articulating boom mounted to an engine. The articulating boom in this case does not have a bucket on it, but is used in elevated master streams to help put out a fire from above. Like I said, there's no aerial ladder. The boom is just there to elevate a master stream. Next, we'll talk about rescues. Rescues can be either a walk-through cab or a non-walk-through. These rescue trucks generally provide support at emergency scenes, whether it be communications or hazmat or a heavy lifting scenario. They normally have highly trained rescue technicians on them and are able to help most people out of any situation they get themselves into. They generally carry heavy equipment to help with extrication of major vehicle accidents. Ambulances. There are three types of ambulances: Type 1, Type 2, and Type 3. Type 1 is a patient compartment mounted to a truck chassis. Type 2 is a vanbulance, which is a full-size van with no major modifications other than that the roof has been lifted for people to walk in the back. And Type 3 is a patient compartment mounted to a van chassis. Ambulance's main purpose is to carry medical equipment and transport patients. There are two major types of ambulances: advanced life support ambulances and basic life support ambulances. The ambulance pictured here is a Type 3 ambulance and is also a MICU, which stands for Mobile Intensive Care Unit, which is an ALS truck. Now we will talk about brush trucks. Brush trucks are designed for wildland or off-road firefighting. They contain a pump that is able to pump between 50 and 500 gallons per minute. They contain a small water tank and limited hose. And they contain wildland firefighting equipment such as leaf blowers, rakes, and shovels. They also have the option to do pump and roll, which means the driver can drive the truck while the pump is operational. In this picture, you can see how a brush truck is doing a pump and roll feature. This brush truck is equipped with front spray rails, so if a field is on fire, it can drive right through while it is spraying water. Tanker or water tender. The term water tender is mostly used out west because tankers also refer to aircraft. Tankers carry water from water supplies to the fire scene. They have built-in baffles in the water tank to reduce water sloshing and weight shiftage.
ARFF, Aircraft Rescue Firefighting Vehicle, used mainly at airports or within departments near an airport. Large capacity water tank, foam tank, large gallon per minute pumps or pump. Remote control roof turret, large volume output is optional. Remote control bunker turret, but also large volume outputs optional. Hand lines and booms are optional.
Now we're going to talk about how weight affects driving ability. These vehicles are definitely larger and more cumbersome to drive than a normal car. The distance it takes to stop will be increased because of the weight behind them. At 40 miles an hour, a driver could expect his vehicle to take 210 feet to stop. In a car, about average size, it would only take about 20 or 30 feet to stop. Going 50 miles an hour, you can expect the vehicle to stop in 340 feet, and it's the same at 60 miles an hour. Also, because of the weight, these vehicles have a longer acceleration time. The vehicle handling and steering will also be different than your car. They do not handle as well as your car because they're so heavy and they don't react as fast as your car would. Also, because they're so large and the weight is so much, you're going to have to press harder on the brake pedal than you normally would in your car to get the vehicle to stop. Your steering input is also going to be greater. You're going to have to turn the wheel more times to get the wheels on the ground to turn. It's because of how they are geared. Normally in a car, you turn the wheel about 1.5 times and your steering is locked. In these vehicles, it would take a lot more to lock the steering. Next, we're going to talk about surface traction from larger tires that are on these vehicles. The larger tires creates more drag, which slows the car down, or slows the vehicle down, but the larger tires also will aid in stopping the vehicle and spreading the vehicle's weight out over the concrete. In the next section, we will talk about how unbalanced weights in the vehicle can affect the vehicle's handling. We will talk about top-heavy loads. We will talk about greater weight on the right or left side. We will talk about greater weight in the front, and we will talk about greater weight in the rear. First, we will talk about top-heavy vehicles. When a top-heavy vehicle enters a turn, the heavy load will rapidly lean to the side opposite the direction of the turn. The shifting weight will cause the weight of the vehicle to shift as well. Because of the shifting weight of the load, plus the momentum of the vehicle, the vehicle will most likely roll over. Now we're going to talk about greater weight on the right or left side. When turning, momentum from the vehicle will cause the body to roll the opposite direction of the turn. The heavier weight on the inside will help keep the vehicle grounded in the turn. If the heavier weight is on the outside, this could aid the momentum in rolling the vehicle onto its side. Next, we're going to talk about greater weight in the front. A driver can expect to notice a difficult time turning the wheels of the apparatus because of the extra downforce present by the weight in the front tires. A way to alleviate this is to spread the weight out over the frame more. Now we're going to talk about greater weight in the rear of the vehicle. A driver can expect a difficult time turning the apparatus due to limited traction on the front tires, because the weight in the back is pulling the weight off the front tires. These vehicles can easily go into an understeer scenario because of loss of traction in the front tires because of the weight in the rear. These problems can expect to occur when cresting hills or going over a bump. Last, we're going to talk about how to properly distribute weight throughout the vehicle. The first thing we want to make sure is that all of the weight stays low on the frame. This is so it does not throw off the center of balance for the vehicle, which is very important. Next, we want to make sure that if there's a heavy load on one side of the vehicle, that we put a counterweight on the opposite side of the vehicle. In most rescues, they have a cascade system on one side of the apparatus. They always put a counterweight on the opposite side of some kind, whether it be more equipment or a large counterweight to counteract the weight of the cascade system. Next, we want to make sure that all tools are secured in place to prevent shifting. Shifting tools and shifting water inside of the water tank can cause weight shifts and throw the vehicle off balance, making it harder to control. We also want to make sure that all of the tires are properly inflated. Even the tires on the inside of the rear are inflated. This will aid in balancing the vehicle. Last, we want to make sure that the suspension is adjusted to any larger loads. In most vehicles, the front where the engine compartment is, the suspension is a little tougher to counteract the weight of the engine. But in emergency vehicles, it could be different because there's so much weight spread out over the frame.
This is EKU's 2009 Suffin fire engine. As you can see, it is a mid-mount pump. The mid-mount pump, such as this one, helps in aid in vehicle stabilization. Also, the water tank behind those cabinets is right over top of the rear wheels, which helps to stabilize the weight as well. The engine, which is under the cab behind the front tire there, also is low on the frame to help aid in the vehicle balance. Many would look at this pump panel and say, why would they put all that weight up top? Well, actually, the actual pump is down here, low on the frame behind that silver panel. Up there is just the controls to control the pump. There is not much weight up there, so it doesn't make the vehicle top heavy. They keep the attack lines centered in the vehicle, low on the frame, to keep the center of balance low. Although the hoses do not weigh very much, it still could throw off the balance of the vehicle. They have a low-seated hose bed, which keeps the vehicle from becoming top heavy. They use a lightweight aluminum ladder on the top here, which many would think would cause the vehicle to be top heavy. But as you can see on this side, it is counteracted by steel and the frame of the vehicle, which counteracts the weight of the ladder. On the inside of the vehicle, the seats are mounted in such a way that the weight of the riders will always be balanced through the vehicle. Each side will have approximately the same. As you can also tell, the overall width and height of the vehicle are proportional to each other. This is so that the top does not become more heavy, or that the vehicle is wide enough to support it when it turns and stops.